The sound of London is not Big Ben. It is the steady, rhythmic chant of thousands of men, their faces hidden behind black balaclavas, their voices echoing off the brickwork of Whitechapel. On the evening of Saturday, October 21st, the air hangs thick with the smell of sulfur from red flares that cut through the gloom, casting a hellish light on the black flags of the Shahada. Khaybar, Khaybar, ya Yahud, they roar, a battle cry from the 7th century aimed at the Jews. A man laughs on camera, noting the presence of baseball bats, metal pipes, and bricks piled neatly on a corner. It's a vibe, he says, his words captured for a viral clip that would be viewed 2 million times by morning. For the residents peering from behind their curtains, it is something else entirely. It is the cold feeling of abandonment. The Metropolitan Police are present, but their orders for what is codenamed Operation Lyra, confirmed in a leaked internal communication, are to observe and report only. No engagement, no arrests. For 3 full days, the mayor's office remains silent. Inside City Hall, the debate is frantic. A draft statement condemning the sectarian nature of the chants and the open display of weapons is written by a junior press officer named Chloe, only to be personally vetoed by the mayor's chief of staff, David Bellamy. A WhatsApp message to the mayor's inner circle is blunt. We let this burn itself out, no comment, we do not engage. The junior officer is instead instructed to issue a single, bland holding statement about the right to peaceful protest, a statement that says nothing. In the vacuum, there is only the hollow echo of those chants. And the lingering question, who is in charge of this city? This is the story of a 2-tier London, a city where outrage is selective and justice is conditional. Just 16 days earlier, on October 5th, a group of fewer than 100 UKIP protesters chanting for deportations in Parliament Square were met with swift and universal condemnation from the political class. 47 officers from the Territorial Support Group had been deployed, and 3 arrests were made within the first hour for public order offenses. Labor officials, including the Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, decried the far-right thuggery on social media before the protest had even concluded. The mayor's office was quick to signal its disgust, promising a full police review into the hateful gathering. But when thousands of sectarian Islamists flooded Whitechapel, their faces masked in a clear statement of intent, the response was a deafening void. This is the core of the strategy, a doctrine decided not in a public forum, but in a private meeting in the 8th floor conference room of City Hall overlooking the Thames. An advisor's words, later recounted by a disillusioned aide, were chillingly pragmatic. We can't alienate Tower Hamlets, not before the next election. They gave us a 30,000 majority in the last GLA elections. The UKIP crowd are a write-off. These guys, their community leaders, are not. It's simple maths. One set of rules for the approved, another for the deplored. It is a doctrine that has seeped from the streets into the very institutions meant to protect the public. The most telling moment came not from a politician, but from the crowd itself. A lone left-wing activist, holding a socialist worker placard, saw the masked marchers and shouted his solidarity. "We're on the same side, brother!" And in a balaclava turned, his eyes visible for a second, his voice devoid of warmth. "No, we're not!" For the mayor's progressive allies, it was a lesson they refused to learn. For the rest of London, it was a chilling confirmation of a truth they already knew. The alliance was a fantasy. The threat was real. The battle for London is not just fought on the streets. It is fought on the screens of its transport network. As the controversy over the Whitechapel March simmered, a new advertisement began playing on the tube. Commissioned by the mayor's office from the agency Omni Creative London, at a cost of £600,000, it was designed to address sexual harassment. The money was diverted from a fund earmarked for the recruitment of 50 new British transport police officers, a fund that had been announced with great fanfare only 6 months prior. The ad depicted a non-white woman being intimidated and assaulted by a middle-aged white man in a suit. An internal memo from a City Hall communications advisor, circulated a week before release, was explicit. The visuals must align with our broader narrative on systemic issues. The perpetrator profile is non-negotiable and must be white European to avoid reinforcing harmful stereotypes against minority communities. Focus groups confirm this resonates with our target demographic of 1834 female voters in zones 1-3. A note scribbled in the margin of the memo read, "Reality is not the priority here. Perception is. The reality was a deep inconvenience. The British Transport Police's own annual report for 2022-23 showed that suspects in reported sexual offenses were of white European appearance in just 44.8% of cases, a figure wildly inconsistent with the ad's singular focus. What mattered was the message, a carefully constructed fiction designed to reinforce a political worldview. The ad states that 90% of unwanted sexual behavior on public transport goes unreported. It was a staggering figure. But the image chosen to represent it was a political calculation, not a reflection of reality. The online backlash was immediate, with the hashtag #NotMyLondon trending, only for accounts using it to find their visibility mysteriously throttled, a shadow ban confirmed by third-party analytics sites. It was an act of deliberate misrepresentation designed to deflect and deceive. While one group was given license to march with impunity, another was being systematically scapegoated to serve the mayor's agenda. This wasn't about safety. It was about narrative control. It was the two-tier system, broadcast in high definition across the capital. The reckoning did not come from a protest or a riot. It came quietly, in the sterile environment of the London Assembly. It was mayor's question time, a dreary Thursday morning in November. Conservative Assembly member Susan Hall had been asking questions for months. Simple, direct questions about the escalating crisis of grooming gangs in the capital, citing specific, anonymized cases from her constituents whose files sat before her in a thick blue folder. And for months, she had been stonewalled. Mayor Sadiq Khan perfected a look of bored indifference. He would lean back in his chair, sip his water, sigh theatrically, and deliver his lines. The honorable member is scaremongering. This is a far-right talking point. And his favorite, I don't know what the member from Barnet and Camden is talking about. What does she mean? He would look to his aides in the front row, a small theatrical shrug as if dismissing a madwoman. It was a masterclass in political gaslighting. In private, Khan was furious. His instructions to the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, delivered in a terse phone call to Mark Rowley that morning, were clear. Mark, I don't care what the Home Office is saying. You are not to release those grooming gang figures. Is that understood? Contain it. Do not give her the ammunition to make this a national story. But the truth has a weight of its own. As Khan played his game of feigned ignorance, a journalist from The Spectator in the press gallery saw a notification flash on his phone. He showed it to his neighbor from The Guardian. A quiet ripple of shock spread. An aide, his face ashen, rushed to Khan's side and placed a tablet in front of him, the screen showing the BBC News alert. Metropolitan Police confirm 9,000 active grooming gang investigations in London. The mayor's carefully constructed smirk vanished. The bored indifference was replaced by a flicker of pure, cold fury. His hands, gripping the desk, went so tight his knuckles turned white. The number landed like a grenade in City Hall. The mayor, who claimed he didn't know what Susan Hall was talking about, was now revealed to be the police and crime commissioner presiding over one of the largest grooming gang scandals in British history. The video of his dismissive performance went viral, juxtaposed with the shocking headline. His flippancy was no longer seen as political maneuvering. It was seen as a betrayal of the highest order. The dam of silence broke. Victims, who had suffered in the shadows for years, saw the crack in the facade. They began contacting Susan Hall's office, their emails and calls telling stories of horrific systemic abuse, stories ignored by the police and social services for years. One staffer, a young graduate named Tom, had to be sent home after a 2-hour conversation with a mother from Lewisham whose teenage daughter had been passed between abusers for months while police reports went unanswered. He described the calls as unbearable, but they were incensed not just by their ordeal, but by the casual, smirking dismissal from the most powerful man in London. The man whose job it was to protect them had treated their trauma as a political inconvenience. The switchboard for James O'Brien's LBC show was jammed for 3 consecutive days. O'Brien himself addressed it on air. In 10 years, I have not seen a reaction like this. The lines are incandescent. Newspapers that had previously given the mayor a wide berth could no longer ignore it. A columnist for the Evening Standard, the normally supportive Maya Joshi, wrote a scathing editorial entitled, "A Question of Trust." The narrative Khan had so carefully constructed of a progressive, united city was shattered. A leaked email from the Labour Whip's office warned MPs, under no circumstances are you to comment on the London situation. Direct all queries to the mayor's office. Any breach will result in an immediate meeting with the chief whip. He was exposed, not as incompetent, but as a politician who made a conscious choice. A choice to play political games with the lives of vulnerable children. A choice to protect his political base over the victims of heinous crimes. A choice to deny a reality that thousands of families were living as a nightmare. The two-tier system was no longer a theory debated online. It was a proven fact, confirmed by the mayor's own words and the catastrophic failure he oversaw. London was left to wonder what other truths were being hidden to protect the powerful. Tomorrow, we expose the secret report from the mayor's office for policing and crime that Sadiq Khan tried to bury. You won't believe what it reveals about who knew what and when.